Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. I'm Roy Counts.
And I'm Sunil Kaushal.
And Sunil, how are you today?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
On a very cold day again.
Oh, very cold day, yes.
And a
Don't
wet
know
day.
what's happening with the weather.
Yeah, but Sunil, a good thing is, I think we should all pat ourselves on the back.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, I think we should.
Because of the rollback of the Henderson trial. It was one of the worst trials ever. You know, it completely put the city center out of sync, and you actually took a leading part in protesting against it. Tell us about it.
Well, it wasn't really a protest, but it was mainly voicing the opinions of the community, because we had about, in total, 7,500 signature petitions, about 5,000.
How much? 7,500?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, my apologies, 6,700.
Okay.
About 5,200 online petition and about 1,600 written. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of people voicing their say on what the way it was conducted wasn't in a transparent manner by Auckland, by Panaku Development, who actually did it. And it was funded 90% by NZTA and 10% by the council ratepayers. And the local board was led to believe a different plan, so they supported it. But when it started hitting the pockets of the businesses, when it started hitting the pockets of mums and dads, because it took longer time, more petrol, more carbon emissions, people had to reroute their own ways of going. It became really symbolic.
Right. In fact, Apna did a story on the Henderson, the trial, and we spoke to a lot of shopkeepers. And one of the shopkeepers told me that it used to take him 20 minutes just to come out from behind his shop onto the main road during peak hours, because the entire traffic layout had been changed.
Everyone was confused which way to go, which way not to go. People didn't. I mean, if you have lived in this place 40 years, you don't. You know what way to go, and it's very confusing messages that were going.
Now, how much did they spend? About 1.4 million?
1.2 or
1.2. Yeah. So let's take the lower end. $1.2 million. They could have built a house for that.
Oh yeah. They could have replaced the potholes on the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could have done other things to make Henderson or make Auckland safer. But it was just. But the thing was, what they said was they had to take the money and spend it. I mean,
what nonsense is this?
You can, because otherwise they don't get that budget. But there are other good things to do.
Yeah, which they could spend the money on that.
Exactly. Than just disrupting the norm.
Is it true that this entire layout was designed by someone sitting in New York?
Yes, it is true.
And he has not even been to New Zealand. He's not seen. So they just sent him some plans.
See, this is the problem. When you're making a life-impacting change decisions, especially on streets, mode of transportation, what worked in New York is not going to work in in Invercargill or in Gore or in Henderson or in
anywhere else.
So in Motueka, it's not going to work. It's going to be different.
How does this thing work, Sunil? You have been in community politics for much longer, for a long time, in fact. And I mean, who takes this decision in the first place? I'm not asking you. I'm just as a rhetorical question. Who takes these decisions?
It's a very good question for OIA, but it's very.
And once a decision is taken, who takes the decision that we need a consultant from New York whom we are going to pay tons of money? And is there any conflict of interest?
See, yes, conflict of interest is totally different thing for another day. We will talk about it. But yeah, someone sitting in New York who is maybe designed something for that place is not, and to have him design something for Henderson who has not been here physically and engaged with public.
Right.
It's like me designing something for Cairo or something for Timbuktu.
Yeah.
From my expertise.
Without understanding the local needs, the local customs, the way.
And it's like, I'm sure New Zealand's got great brains, great ideas, we are the idea capital of the world, and our ideas get exported, our innovations get exported. But then you are asking someone, this is not New York.
Exactly.
We don't have, 5 million population living in Henderson.
I'm sure if there was a competition, 10 Kiwis would have come up with a better plan to manage the, the city center.
There are very good plans. For example, around the cycleways, they can extend the other cycleways to join the city.
Right.
All safe, all and under budget.
And just in, before we end this segment, I've noticed a new thing on the roads, some sort of a bump in the middle of the road. Looks like a carbuncle, a boil. What is that?
That's called Swedish hump or bump or something like that. So in Sweden, it's being used to slow down traffic, especially near schools. I think in a way that is good because when you're crossing to when you're coming to the main crossing for the school. Either have we know in several parts of Auckland, you've got raised zebra crossing kind of a thing, and so what this is half that size on the road where basically your two tires have to go over the hump, and you kind of slow down knowing that you're approaching the school.
My problem is that if you have a low car, it probably will damage the your bumper. Because it's an absolute rubbish idea. I am actually all for that raised pedestrian crossing, which slows down traffic. I'm all for slowing down traffic near schools. I'm not against that, but not this kind of, like some people we had interviewed said, what is this thing in the middle of the road? And you don't even know because it is black, it is not painted. So suddenly you're coming at a normal speed, 35, 40.
That is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous.
Especially if a bike is coming at 50 you don't realize,
He'll go flying. A motorcycle will go flying even at 50, which is a legal speed. So I do not know who takes this decision. I do not know how they come across this.
There are some great planners in transport,
absolutely. And if you go and if you look at their CV, they probably were working as a retail salesperson or maybe doing real estate or something. And suddenly they've come into the council and now they've been given this entire portfolio of changing road layouts and all that. Shocking. Sunil, now I want to talk to you about the vaccinations shambles. Okay. So I tried to book a slot, and what I did was I actually recorded what I was doing. Okay, let's play the recording first, and after we finish doing the recording, let's discuss the vaccine samples. The COVID booking is actually a total shambles. I received an email to say that I could register. Now, I registered myself, and after registering myself, it said that I could register for someone else if I wanted to. So I wanted to register for someone else. Now this is what happens. Now this is the front page of the site. So you click here on register now, and then you just click here the privacy statement. Now if you are one of the special groups, you get a code in the email which you need to put here in this box. After which it will tell you what to do. But it says here, don't worry if you don't have one, which is the code. You can still register your details to get vaccinated. Now this actually is not true. I'll show you why. Now assume that you don't have the code and you have gone into this site. Now who are you filling out this form for? Okay, I'm registering for someone else. Let's say you're registering for your spouse or partner with their consent. Have they had their first dose of COVID-19? No. So when you do that, it opens out another menu. It says, do you or who person you are registering for, do they work in MIQ? So we say no, right? Do they live with someone who works in MIQ? No. Are you aged over 65? No. Now, are you a high-risk frontline healthcare worker? Now, in this case, the person I was trying to book it for is working in frontline. So we say yes. Okay. Continue. Good. So now we come here. Now we enter an address. So we enter, let's say, West Auckland, Henderson. And look at this. There are no vaccination centers nearby that have availability. So what do? Now basically you need to go and start putting in different suburbs, because it says enter an address, suburb or postcode. So let's see if a nearby suburb of Newlyn has anything. right? So click Newlin, back again, no availability. Now remember, this is a person who is working in frontline. So we go back and we say, let's see, what happens if we say, no, they don't work in frontline. Do you work in long-term aged residential care? No. No here. Are you, okay, now this is important. Do you have an underlying health condition? And in this case, it is yes. The person I'm trying to book it for has an underlying health condition. I say continue. Now I go back to my original. Now remember, this is a vulnerable group and they need to get vaccinated first. So I put 10612 Henderson and I say continue. Bingo. Back again, the same page. No vaccination centers nearby that have availability. So I go back. Now I'm thinking, what if I'm 65 years old and I want to get vaccinated? So I say, I want to book it for a friend of mine who is, or a relative who is over 65. I continue. I put the same address. Continue. Same thing. No availability. I say, okay, well, let me try something else. Let me try Wellington. Nothing. Now I am thinking, does this site work at all? Now it did work for me because I got a code, although I am not eligible for it. I do not know why I got a code. Maybe I have an underlying health situation which I don't know about. Whatever the reason, I got a code. So I put my code and I actually was able to book an appointment. However, the site nearest my house showed appointments for 1st September, which was too far away. So I put another suburb and I got one somewhere else, maybe a kilometer further, and I got it for 1st August. So the funny thing is, the site near my house, which gave me the first available appointment at 1st September, actually is taking walk-ins and even vaccinating people who don't want to get vaccinated. Now, how funny is that? So there you have it. That was what I tried to do. Okay, when you try to book a slot, it keeps on saying that there are no availability. What do you do? As you saw in the video, I tried to put some different postcodes, and every time you put something, it says that not available. I have said that I'm booking it for someone who has got a underlying health issue. No. I'm booking it for someone who is over 65. No. So anything you try to do, it does not allow you to book it at all. It's not giving you any availability. Of course, if you have a code and you put the code, then they give you the availability. So that's what happened with me. I got a code. I don't know for what reason. I'm not eligible at all for any of the group 3. Group 4, whatever it is, whichever group it is, I'm not eligible. 4, yeah. So I will be in the last group. But I got an invite to book myself. So I put my code. The one nearest my house, they said it is only available 1st of September. Okay, that is that Henderson Catherine Street. So I looked around and there was one somewhere near Ranui, which was earlier. So I booked that. Now, one of my friends, she's about 38. She happened to be passing by the vaccination center, and she had her 18-year-old daughter with her. And they walked in, and I think she had gone for something else when she realized that vaccinations are going on. So she went and asked that person, can I take a vaccination? Yeah, sure, come in, take the vaccine. 38, not eligible to get the vaccine. She got vaccinated. Now the person who gave her the vaccination is telling her, who is this girl? She said, oh, that's my daughter. How old is she? She's 18. Oh, fine, even she can take it. Okay, because she's over 16. So even she got the jab. Both of them not eligible. Now when I tried to book an eligible slot, it is showing me as 1st September. But someone who just walks in and doesn't even want to take the vaccine gets vaccinated.
Probably, I know, it's probably like, being there at the right time, at the right place kind of a situation, isn't it? I honestly don't know what is going on with the vaccine things. Today I heard that around 650,000 Kiwis have been vaccinated, which is great. But I think
I think it's shocking.
Well, hey, look, 650,000 have been vaccinated. It's better than none.
11% of the population.
Better than none. We were supposed to be ahead in the queue.
First in the queue, they said.
First in the queue.
Yeah, 123rd, by the way, now.
Yeah, that didn't happen. And then I think the justification came. We were wanting only one
type of vaccine.
One type of vaccine for the whole country, which is fair enough. But when you hear some of the restrooms haven't been vaccinated, some of the frontline staff haven't been vaccinated, some people who shouldn't be vaccinated, like you say, are getting vaccine. Now, the justification for that is if there are 10 people to be vaccinated today, you have 10 vaccines there. If 3 turn up, 7 don't, you've got to throw those vaccines out. You're in the right place at the right time, kind of a thing. But I would have thought if those people don't turn up, you call up the others in the queue, would you like to be vaccinated?
Well, for all those New Zealand media who kept making all this, I don't want to use to say fun, but they were taking India to task because of the third wave. India has already vaccinated 400 million people. 400 million already vaccinated, the fastest in the world. Okay, so before we start comparing apples and pears, I think we should get our facts right. And the fact is that our vaccine rollout is a shambles here. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And why are we getting vaccines in dribs and drabs? I mean, why can't we get one, a big consignment and just have a 20-day rollout?
You have an election. You say, okay. 1st of August, we have a big vaccination drive day. Everyone get vaccinated in your local park or local marae or local, church or temple or something. Yeah. I think that needs to be done.
But this really this is not the way.
There was a very interesting article in I think it was in Herald about the different languages that it was a little bit digressed towards the military and the health department, our health department and our military who was managing all these things.
That they couldn't.
They couldn't speak each other's language.
Because the military works, they give commands, they use abbreviations, and the civilians, they order civilians around, and it was not working.
And the medical system couldn't
cope. So there again, another shambles there, trying to put the military in charge of something, and they're failing, especially in MIQ. Last Friday, there was an article, the front page of New Zealand Herald had this headline. It spoke about gun violence. And what I found shocking was the blurb in the article, in the headline says, the police are telling people to be wary of illegal firearms, people criminals using guns. The police are telling the citizens to be wary. Has it gone so much out of hand? Because, what happened last week in Penrose, a fellow, like a Hindi movie, he holds a gun to a stranger's head. You know how they show in the Hindi movie, Shakti Kapoor, holding a gun to someone's head and tells the police, if you advance, I'll shoot this guy. The exactly same movie scene happened. No fear of the police. They are beating the police from the back. 2 times in the last week, police were beaten, on the head. The other guy at Henderson, on I think the Mobile station, at 3 in the morning, a gang comes and beats up a police, kicks him in the face. What's happening? The crims are just not afraid of law and order anymore.
I think what is happening is that we have gone too soft on the criminals.
Yeah.
We've in a attitude or to show equality and all those
the woke thing kind of
things to be fair or give them an equal opportunity. We have gone far too lenient, and where a crime isn't treated as a crime. And again coming back, gun buyback scheme. What was that for? If people still have guns, and that too military style, weapons, if there are
yeah.
still out there,
Yeah.
that means the innocent have returned their weapons, but the crims for whom it should have been, they still have it. So gun buyback scheme hasn't been successful there.
Yeah, that guy who stole that BMW and then shot at the police
Yeah.
using a military-style gun. Of course, it must have been illegal.
Yeah.
So what the government is doing is taking away guns from people who are licensed and who are responsible, but not doing anything for the gangs. In fact, on the contrary, this has been my pet topic over the last few weeks. The government is actually helping the gangs, saying that we are trying to reform the gangs. As anyone with half a brain would know, you can't reform gangs. Come on, you can reform individuals. Gangs, by the very definition, are together because they are a criminal, they're in criminal activity. It's like, saying that I'm going to reform the mafia. The Godfather and his clan, I'm going to reform them. No, you can reform one or two people,
Yeah.
But no, you can't reform the entire mafia. That's exactly what gangs are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what the government needs to really come down hard, how can we feel safe if our police is not safe?
Yeah.
If our police is getting injured, every day and night, they're getting kicked in their heads, kicked in the things. These are the guys who defend us.
Exactly.
And, and these guys are getting kicked and shot at because we can't give them any self-defense weapons, so as to speak, or they are not allowed to carry the weapons. Now, the call for the police to carry weapons is a decision of the police commander, not the minister.
Correct.
But the police commander.
And so Porto Williams, she comes and she puts in her 2 cents about whether the police should be armed or not. It is the commissioner's decision. Of course, the commissioner will take the decision in consultation with the government. But basically, it's the commissioner's call whether the police should be armed or not. We don't want people like Porto Williams and all to come and say whether they should, carry arms or not. It's an operational decision. Let the people on the front line decide. You don't take a political decision because you think that your people are going to get killed, so you don't want to, the police to carry guns. Because we feel unsafe.
Yeah.
I feel unsafe. The kind of road rage which is happening today, on the streets. My daughter was telling me about an incident which happened recently. It's amazing how people are now just wanting to take the law in their own hands. And you're so right. It is because people feel that the law is now soft. Okay? There is no fear of punishment.
Yeah.
While on the topic of gangs, last week, a guy called Harry Tam came on Q&A and Jack Tame interviewed him. And while talking about gangs in general, he said, if the Prime Minister trusts me, why can't you? Or something to that effect. Let's play that video.
Jacinda seems to trust me. Why wouldn't you? Jacinda seems to trust me. Why wouldn't you?
This man is Harry Tam. Jacinda Ardern is giving him and his company almost $3 million. He says he's a good guy. He says we should trust him because Jacinda Ardern trusts him. Well, there's a good reason the Prime Minister should trust him. He's been campaigning for her and against the National Party. Take a look.
And I guess most of you will realise that Harry Tam is a serious mongrel. For me, it's been 47 years that I've been in the mob. Well, we know that come September this year, there's going to be this thing called the general election. And we all know the leader of the National Party is ganging up on us. Can you see where I'm getting at? All of a sudden, we can turn into 20 to 30,000 votes. We are a lot more powerful than we care to think we are. And I urge you all to think about registering to vote. Because if you don't, if that motherfucker's in, your life's going to be hell.
Yes, he's encouraging all members of the mob, not just the retired ones, the violent ones, the drug peddlers, the ones cops are chasing out there on the streets, to vote Labor. This is the man she gave almost $3 million to. There's more, watch.
We're the mighty mongrel mob. We don't take any from any. Why should we take it from them? That's the way I see it, right? See, go up to the mongrel mob for another 1,000 years. Thank you very much.
Yes, he did just yell Sig Heil, a victory salute used by Nazis at their political rallies. This is the man Jacinda Ardern gave almost $3 million to. New Zealand deserves a proper explanation from the Prime Minister on this one. Is this man suitable to run a meth rehab program? What does she think of his use of the Nazi slogan? Did she know that he was campaigning for her party at the election?
Right, so that's what he said. So Harry Tam is a guy who is running the drug rehabilitation program called the Kahukura program. Now, he also happens to be an honorary lifelong member of the mongrel mob. Okay, so although he's not a mobster himself, no, he's not a drug dealer. He's actually a government servant. He was a civic servant, and he's done a lot of good work. Let's get that right. But the fact is that he is still a member of the mongrel mob, and his company got that, $1.75 million, which the Prime Minister very proudly said that she had signed off. Now, when a gangster or someone connected to the gang says the Prime Minister trusts me, why can't you? I think that's a very bad look for the government.
It's debatable. I think, like I said last week, it's a very bad optics for the government. And you're spending money on such initiatives. I mean, look, if there is a chance to rehabilitate or to reform, people who want to change their lifestyle, coming out from criminal background and going into public, and they want to change their life around for the sake of their family, I think it's commendable.
Right.
There are some very good programs that even Salvation Army runs, and there are other great organizations that do that.
That is, I don't think anyone is doubting.
But then giving it to organization that Harry Tam is affiliated with, and also saying that for the Prime Minister to show that yes, she has done it, I think it's a very bad optics.
Yeah.
Because it's not showing.
I want to ask you something. You explain to me, how can someone remain in a gang, wear a gang patch, okay, and as if the gang patch is some sort of a military title, I don't know why they glorify gang patches anyway in New Zealand. But anyway, that's another debate for another time. You want to remain in the gang, you want to wear the gang patch, you want to walk around with the gang patch, and you say, I am reformed. I can't understand this. It's beyond me. If you can explain it to me.
Look, I think the person may have reformed as in they are not committing crimes that they used to do. However, they may want to wear the thing. But to me, if reform means you are turning away from your old ways, that's reformation. In history we see the Great Reformation. That is the meaning of reform. That means you are not looking back at your old life. You're not going back into your own life. You want to change. As they say, reformation comes from inside.
Yeah.
And if you are tempting yourself with those things, it's, as I say, it's very bad optics.
Absolutely,
How do you justify that?
So basically, it is just politics. The government is appeasing a certain section of society.
Yeah, I think the government opposition or whatever, they should stay away from such things. It's got nothing to do with it. The money from the proceeds of crime
Yeah.
that can be used, to distribute it to the victims' family,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
to reform them,
Yeah.
or to help them.
Yeah.
There's
All the partners of the gang members who are either in women's refuge or they're hiding and all of that. Yeah,
on the kids, so that they don't turn up.
Yeah.
Like
How the women get, we know, how women get abused and beaten by these gang members. It is horrible. And yet the government goes and, says that we want to reform them. This is a very, as you rightly said, it's optically, it's bad optics, the bad look. But basically, it's government doing politics.
Yeah.
And what happened in New York recently? A guy just walked up. We used to have this king hits.
Yeah.
King hits is someone comes and hits you at the back of your head. You don't know who the person is, just for fun. Now there is a new thing started in New York. They just take out a gun and shoot you and go away. Just you don't know who you are. You're a stranger. This is what's happening in this. This when you go soft on crime. It's fun now because I do not know what mentality these people have. You just walk up to someone who has not done anything to you. He's just minding in his own business. You go and shoot him 4 or 5 times, and then you walk away without any reason.
Well, they shouldn't have the guns.
So thank you so much, Sunil, for coming to the studio as usual and sharing your views with our viewers. And viewers, we will see you again next week, same time.